What's up guys, it's Paraly5er here, and today we're going to be looking at an updated Broodmother guide. Now, for these builds, I've got two different builds. The first one is for taking on the Broodmother for the very first time in your game, and the second one is going to be for those of you who need to beat the Broodmother in the end game, where you've already got all the gear you need, and say you're beating it to try and farm a trinket or a gold card, or for some other reason to farm parts, for example, for making other items. So we're going to show off both of those builds today. And for the first build, I'll be playing on medium difficulty. And then for the really good build, I'll be showing it on Woe. Usually on Woe, I like to save the Hedge Broodmother for a bit later in the game, whereas on medium, I'll typically fight it after the assistant manager. So this is what we're going to go with here for the fight, as if we've just beaten the assistant manager in the game on medium difficulty. We've got a level 6 spicy Black Ant sword with a Black Ant shield and 5 bombs. Then we have level 7 Ladybug armor. We have the Astonishing Acid trinket, because, to be honest, there's a bunch of trinkets that are better that you could use, but they're all a bit luck-based. This is the only trinket I thought, yeah, you can get this really easily, no luck involved whatsoever, you can just craft it, and it's an okay trinket. It's not great, to be honest, it's pretty bad, but it's better than no trinket at all. Then we have the Spider Slider, the Beefy Soothing Syrup, the Fiber Bandages, and the Broodmother BLT. So let's go ahead and let's equip this gear. You're going to want to have your sword on your hotbar, of course. I am going to put my shield on my hotbar as well. You will see why in a minute. And then obviously you want your smoothies and your bandages on your hotbar because you're going to want to use those. Right, that is everything we need. We have an annoying spiderling here, so let's get rid of him. Let's go on into the boss fight and let me show you how this build works. Now, of course, before we summon the boss, we're going to need to first go over the mutations that we're using in this fight. So let me do that. Blade Master. Pretty straightforward, we're using a sword as our weapon, so of course Blade Master is useful. It reduces the damage the enemy is dealing, and it's a really good stamina mutation as well. Coup de grace, bit of a crit chance, pretty useful. Spicy Safety and Mithridatism. Mithridatism reduces poison damage. Spicy Safety reduces stabbing damage, which the Broodmother does with her bite attacks. And then finally, Shocking Dismissal, another amazing mutation, in my opinion. I very much recommend you use this. It gives you that extra bit of shock damage, which is going to help in this fight. So, let's spawn her in. We have a shield. Now, I have my Y button set up on controller to switch out my shield. So typically what I'll do now is I'll not have the shield equipped until the enemy attacks, and then I'll try and equip the shield and parry, just to be safe, to make sure I'm not taking too much damage. But sometimes it doesn't equip quick enough, so you just got to parry. And obviously, when it comes to the Scream attack, there's nothing you can do. So first Scream comes in, we're just going to drop a bomb right here now that our damage is reduced. And as you can see, we kill all of the spiderlings. Okay, I missed one spiderling. Okay, let's just pull our shield out now. You do want to be careful in this fight. The one way you can really mess up here is if you do take hits from certain attacks against this Broodmother, it will actually give you a debuff, which prevents you from parrying. And in that case, you want to just hold out the shield pretty much for the rest of the fight. Like right there, you can see we've got a poison debuff and we got a like stamina debuff. I also forgot to eat my meal because I'm actually really, really good at making these guides. Obviously, you want to eat your meal at the start of the fight. There's no reason not to. But yeah, you need to make sure you parry that attack, specifically right there, I think, is the one that gives you the parry debuff. So we're fairly chill so far. This fight's going okay. Obviously, the main 3 dangers in this fight are the 3 different summoned waves of enemies. I only brought 5 bombs in. Honestly, you probably should bring more if you're not too sure with what you're doing. But I'm hoping that I won't mess this up too badly. There we go. They're all dead on phase 2, just like that. That's why you bring these bombs in. Now, obviously, for the second build, we're going to have a different thing. We're not going to use bombs because they're not renewable, per se. Like, you need to go and farm bombs every time if you use this strategy. This is kind of just like for beating her the first time, do you know what I mean? Whereas once we got a strategy that's renewable and like it's just going to use a different weapon that isn't a bomb, that we can just repair with repair glue. So it's much, much easier. But yeah, as you can see, this fight's pretty chill. She's not too difficult. The third wave of enemies is going to come in very, very soon. And that's where it gets like kind of tough, to be honest, is right here. So that Scream can kill you sometimes if you're not careful because you'll just get stuck like on the ground basically. But we just drop a bomb and you got to be careful that the enemies don't like kick the bomb forward too much. But as you can see, one bomb wasn't enough that time. So we're just going to drop another bomb, try and keep the enemies nearby. And now that second bomb looks like it was enough just to finish off the rest of them. Now it's just me and the Broodmother. I have a bomb to spare even. Didn't even need it. We'll pop a bandage. I didn't even have to use a smoothie yet. So as you can see, it's a pretty chill fight on medium difficulty. There's not too much to worry about. And we've just got to finish her off now. You do have to be careful with that jump. You don't want to be too close to the edge of the arena, because when she jumps, you can parry her taking off, but you can't block the landing at all. So if you're at the edge of the arena and she jumps, the landing will hit you guaranteed, and you want to be very careful of that. So try and stay away from the edges of the arena, otherwise you are going to take some serious damage there. But as you can see, Broodmother, pretty easy fight, nothing too crazy. That is on medium difficulty. In like a mid-ish game build. Now we're going to switch over to like a late game build, so let's go and do that. Okay, so here is the late game build we're going to be going with. The level 9 Cortana. It's a slashing, spicy weapon. She's weak to both, best choice. The spicy staff, this is purely for the summons. The giddy goop. You could use a plethora of trinkets here that are really good. I went with the giddy goop because I just really like the trinket, to be completely honest. The Broodmother BLT, bandages, syrup, and spider slider are all self-explanatory. And then for armor, I'm going to go with the wizard hat, the fire ant arm guards, and the assassin's greaves. You could opt for the termite armor and the fire ant helmet. This would massively slow her down. But the reason I'm going with this armor is for the wizard hat, for the increased damage against her when I'm using the staff. And you'll see why that's useful in a second. And then for mutations, we're switching to Blade Master for the sword, Spicy Safety and Mithridatism for defense. We've got Whittle Wizard on now, which is going to actually boost our staff damage and give us the ability to bleed the enemies we're shooting at. And then finally, Shocking Dismissal again. So only one mutation change. Let's equip our trinket. Let's get our different weapon types on our hotbar. Same sort of heals, nothing too crazy that I'm bringing into the fight. Obviously, you could bring way more smoothies if you wanted to. You could bring in like liquid rages, human foods. If you're not too confident with your fight, then I highly recommend you do that, because otherwise, you know, you could die and you don't want to die, so bring in some extra smoothies if you really do need them. I'm not recommending them for the guides because like they're a bit of a pain to craft a bunch of smoothies. Right, let me make sure we switch the difficulty to Woe. We're going to put the creature health scale to 1.25 because on Woe it's 1.2, so we're slightly higher on the health, but that is fine. Let me make sure to pop a bandage, and here we go. Woe difficulty Broodmother fight with what should be the best loadout in the game in theory. So as you can see here, she's slowed down a lot by the Giddy Goop, which is going to make her attacks less frequent. And there we go. Her first scream just went off. So all we're going to do, we're just going to pull out the staff. And we're just going to take out the spiderlings. Boom. You'll notice it also hit her in the process, which gives her a little bit of a bleed, but not too long. Now, some of you might not like the Giddy Goop because it does slow her down, which could make it harder for you to parry. If that's the case, just throw on another trinket. You could literally use any trinket. You can use the Spicy Charm. That's probably a really good choice, to be honest, because that's going to obviously allow you to deal more damage to her if you've got it, but it's a pretty rare charm to get. There's a bunch of good charms you could use. You could use the Shield Solidifier even if you're not very confident with your parrying. That's going to massively increase your ability to block attacks. Now, once the Orb Weaver Juniors come along, I'd highly recommend just running away and just doing a charged attack. That's going to wipe them all out. You'll notice there as well, I managed to cancel her Scream attack, which I didn't even do intentionally. But she's screaming again because we're on to phase 3 now. So all we're going to do on phase 3, we're just going to sprint away, and then you need to turn and shoot the staff when it's ready to go. Now you have to be very careful with the staffs. A lot of damage there. You have to be very careful with the staffs, because if you're not, you will take a massive amount of damage because you can't parry for a long time after shooting them, which is one of the big risk factors with the staff in particular. But as you can see here, I'm just running away, playing it safe so I can take out the Orb Weaver Juniors. Now that they're gone, it's just me and the Broodmother. I did have to use a smoothie this time around, but I do also have my Y-bind set up so I can switch to the staff just like that without having to pull up the wheel. Same for healing. I have my healing set to left D-pad on slot 7. So if I need to pop a smoothie, I just press left D-pad and it'll heal me instantly. But as you can see, much quicker and easier fight, because this is in the late game where you're going to be farming the Broodmother in particular. Obviously, after the fight, if you're looking for like the trinket, you want to switch to Dissection Expert and then loot her. We didn't get lucky that time, but that's fine. So yeah, that is the guide for both an easy early game build and a difficult late game build for taking on the Hedge Broodmother. I hope you enjoyed. As you can see, we smoked her both times, and yeah, I had a lot of fun making this and putting this together. You maybe don't need the Giddy Goop for this fight. Again, Spicy Charm's a really good one, but kind of difficult to get, so it's a bit of a pain, but if you can get it, I'd really recommend it because it's going to make you do even more damage. But yeah, that's going to call it for this video. If you enjoyed, don't forget to leave a like on it, and I'll see you in the next Grounded video. Have a great rest of your day.